Hello again, everyone. This is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City, Saves Money. Hey, how you doing today? I thought I'd have a little chat with you. I'm not camera worthy right now, and I really am not into let me just spend an hour getting ready to get on camera. I'm just kind of chilling and hanging out. How's everybody doing today? I want to talk to you today about things that I do during this thing. I wish I could call it something else, like something nice, but it's like a monster, this thing that's going around, this virus. So rather than even call it a name at the moment, I'm just going to call it this thing. So I hope that everybody's doing well. And you know what? I'm going to ask you in the comment section below to tell me what are your particular activities or coping strategies or fun planned events that we can do in this limited amount of resource time, being that many of us are actually at home. Now, some of us are working from home, and the same rules apply, and you don't have that much time as usual, except you saved a lot of time in transit, right? Right. But let me talk about some of the things that I do during this, quote, thing. One thing for sure is I try to assess what's really happening around me, but I'm trying my best not to dwell on it. Why? Because especially here in New York City, things are happening here quickly and of pretty large magnitude. So tip to the wise, really a word to the wise, whenever this thing may hit your area, and hopefully it does not, but realistically speaking, it probably will. Just saying, just be prepared. Always try to stay ahead of the curve, if you will. And just, be ready, be stocked up. Don't be a hoarder and all this stuff. And when it comes to groceries, one of the things that I do, I'm not recommending, I'm not a doctor, I'm not anything. I'm just Jan from New York City describing what I do. Whenever I'm handling groceries from the grocery store, I will wipe every one of them down. And if it's an item that can go into a storage container rather than keeping it in its original container, I put it in a storage container. Just saying, this idea works for me because the less you can contaminate, the better for you. Next, examine your grocery habits. Let's say I went to the grocery store. I used to go, 2 to 3 times a week. Let's just say, for argument's sake. Cut that down. Try to cut down your trips to 1 time a week because the less exposure for you, the better. Does that make sense, or does that make sense? And here's one of the things that I do that for some reason I don't hear enough emphasis on TV. Yes, of course, the importance of washing your hands. Absolutely important. You have to do it, and you have to do it as often as you can. You just have to do it. I mean, it's more important, isn't it, to wash your hands and possibly save yourself the inconvenience of being ill or far worse than that? Am I right? Or am I right? But here's something that the media doesn't focus on. Do not touch your face. Do not touch your face. Now, of course, you may get an itchy nose or you want to rub your forehead. If you need to do that, right away, grab a tissue, hold it in your hand, and then do it. Don't, with your bare hands, touch your face. Don't go near your eyes. Don't go near your nose. This is where, the port of entry for certain things like viruses, okay? So that's like a huge, huge thing. And when you come back from outside, truly get out of those clothes and jump in the shower. I know, these are some of the things I do. Just saying, so it doesn't hurt. Now, getting back to let's say more of a fun activity that I do, well, I consider it fun. Number one, my hobby, which is this, YouTube. So, of course, I make my videos, and that costs me what you might view for 8 minutes or 9 minutes, costs me an hour's time. Every single time I make a video, at least an hour's time. You're saying, what? How come it takes an hour to produce this? Well, there's a thing that I use and it's called editing. And sometimes I might screw up something or I don't like the way I said a word. I might end up doing the whole thing all over again. Yeah. Jan from New York City thinks that her folks are special and I'm trying to give you my personal best. So my hobby is one of the things, and that's this, YouTube. Do you have a hobby? If you have a hobby, let me know. There are things that you may have been putting off doing that right now is the golden opportunity to do. For example, did you fill up a whole bucket of change? I'm not telling you to go and get your change counted. Stay home and count it. What? Guess what? People back in the day, before they were change counters, they counted that money themselves. Might be a fun activity for the kids as well. And you could turn that into a math lesson. Remember when we were kids back in the day? Anybody in my league, let's say over 60? Just saying. Do you remember that our earliest arithmetic, which is what they used to call it back in the day, problems involve counting pennies, nickels, and dimes? Hey, we could actually get a little bit primitive again and work with that. Just saying. You know, there are so many other things that you could do. Suppose you were never a baker or a cook, even a skill. I'm a skillet queen. I can't say I'm a baker. I really can't. I may put up recipes, I may do them, but my natural habitat for me, the Jan zone, is not baking. I'm more of a skillet queen. Hey, does anybody out there have a really cool skillet recipe that's on the cheap? We could sure use them. And I have rediscovered the art of trying to make an extra meal out of my primary meal, and I'm trying to work on grandparenting that. Why? Because that way I get 3 meals out of it, 2 in the future and 1 at the present. And what am I doing? I'm not depleting my stockpile. I'm increasing my stockpile. So you could come up with clever and fun ways to restock your stockpile without even leaving the house. There are lots and lots of things that you can do. I realized something with water. Now, it's a very important thing to keep, some bottled water on the side. I'm not saying that. Definitely have a case on hand. Depends on your family size and everything. Keep that at least. But if you can't afford a case of water, okay, and there are a lot of people who cannot, listen to this idea. I don't think it would hurt. Boil a bunch of water, okay? Put a little bit of lemon juice in that water, not a ton, just to taste. And here's my strong suggestion. Get those freezer bags that you would otherwise save for meat or whatever. Fill it up 3/4 of a way. Freeze them. You can line them up in a stack flat. And you just have saved yourself some money on water. And you have emergency water. Heaven forbid something goes wrong and you don't have water. Hey, real life still happens, right? Water main breaks still can occur, right? Just saying. These are clever tips and tricks. And don't forget to take a nice long hot bubble bath if at all possible and say, this time is for me. You can't do that on a regular work day, right? I know it. So in the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City, and I wanted to share some things that I like to do during this thing. Don't forget to comment below and let me know what you like to do. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to close it up with a little bit of music. Take good care now. Talk to you again real soon. Have a great day. In dedication to those who lost their battle from this thing, and in gratitude and thanks for those who've helped us on the front lines. Please be safe.